You're listening to the Smart Agency Masterclass, and I am your host, Jason Swank, who, when I got married, I wanted to surprise my wife, and I love the movie Wedding Singer. So I sang Will You Grow Old With Me, and it went over really well, but listening it back, it was the worst recording ever, or the worst song ever. But I have an amazing guest today. We're going to talk about how he grew to a multi-million-dollar agency so you guys can actually follow his plan and do the same. Now, if you're kind of feeling like you're not on an island and you're unclear and you're feeling isolated or overwhelmed and you just don't have the knowledge in order to kind of grow your agency, I really want you to check out the Agency Playbook because it will give you a set framework that you can follow so you can increase your revenue, give your team direction, so you don't have to have that stalled out business and lose out on opportunity. Make sure you go to jasonswank.com/playbook right now. All right, Danny, what's going on?
All right, so my name is Danny Gonzalez. I'm the co-founder of Perception. So basically what we do at Perception is bring science fiction to reality and make it science fact. And what I mean by that is we do all the conceptualization, design, and even sometimes advise on films for technology that superheroes are going to use. So, for example, in 2009, the first film we worked on was Iron Man 2. And we designed the entire Tony Stark universe from his smartphone to his interactive mirror to the smart glass where he does a lookup of Black Widow who's introduced into that film. And we do that for multiple movies, mostly Marvel, but we've done that for the last Batman vs. Superman. So we actually designed the operating system for the villain Lex Luthor. We called it Lex OS. So that's one side of the business, and that's the science fiction part. And the science fact part is we actually do that currently for technology companies around the world. So they seek us out and ask us to create that cinematic experience for products ranging from gauge clusters in supercars to productivity apps for construction companies that are massive.
Dude, that's awesome. I want to come work for you. That sounds like awesome, a lot of fun. How did you get into that?
So my background is actually a visual effects artist, and I worked at a company called RGA, and that's where I met my business partner, Jeremy Lasky. And we worked there for quite some time. We worked on amazing films, worked a ton with ad agencies, doing commercials that won a ton of awards. We did a lot of network rebranding. So about 2000, they changed their business model. They went completely .com during the .com frenzy, but they did it right because they are still in business and they are probably the digital agency of the year every single year. And we decided that we wanted to start our own company. So we left and we started Perception in 2001. This was prior to September 11th. You know, we already signed the papers, found a small little space. It was a closet in basically a photo retouching company. They gave us a corner for myself and my business partner, and we worked out of there. But when 9/11 happened, the industry and everything just stopped. So it was a pretty intense time, and that was when Jeremy and myself decided, like, basically we're either going to go for it and really put our heads together and make this work, or we're going to have to just go our separate ways and work at a company and make beautiful work for other people. So basically, we decided we're going to go for it. I'm from Queens, New York. He's from Brooklyn. So there's no two stronger personalities in the world.
I would have never guessed. And I'm sure the listeners would have never guessed.
Exactly. So we decided to move forward, and we did. And probably about 4 months into opening Perception, we landed HBO as a client, and that was doing Sopranos promotional campaigns to make sure that viewers knew that the season was coming up and to also retain new viewership. So they would, have commercials on regular channels to make sure people signed up for HBO because that was the only way to watch Tony Soprano and the rest of his interesting family.
What were some struggles that you had when you started building a team?
Some of the struggles we had at the beginning were, of course, getting busier and busier. We had to bring people in. Creating that culture wasn't really a struggle, but it was something that was very important to Jeremy and myself because, we were the company. A lot of the clients knew that it was only us working on the projects. And now here we are bringing in, more designers, more visual effects artists. And they didn't want to know anything about those other people. So it was very hard as far as getting them to trust us because we trust our guys and girls to kind of let go. and let the producers that we brought in do their job. So I wasn't, producing your job, doing the creative, outputting all the assets, getting you the final. We had a producer that was producing the jobs day to day. We had other designers that were helping. Of course, I was overseeing, and so was Jeremy. But, we had certain situations where, a client would say, okay, this is the final. All right, well, did Danny approve the look and the color correction for this? They wouldn't even look at it unless Jeremy and I had our eyes on it. And we did, but they needed to hear that. And that was, I think, a struggle when you start adding team members. Again, it's not necessarily re-education for clients, but it's more of a reorganization to show them, hey, look, we're still going to do great work, but in order for us to do that, I have to bring people in, and trust me, we're going to put them through the ringer. They're going to know the perception way, but you have to trust us, trust in us to make sure that, we're going to exceed your expectations.
So how did you transition, their perception from allowing the other team members to do it, where you guys are not handcuffed to doing everything?
So we did that slowly. It wasn't something that happened overnight for sure. So a lot of the clients that, we did the work with, that we were very close with, we continue to do and slowly pulled away. But what we started to do with newer clients was right away say, okay, we're going to do this. Let me introduce you to your producer, and they're going to take the ball and run with it. And they'll be your day-to-day contact. And if anything out of the ordinary happens, if there's a fire, if there's something that, is bothering you, you can definitely reach me. Here's my cell phone. Here's my home address. Here's everything. But, your day-to-day contact is a producer. And, of course, you have to find the right people. And when you have rock star producers, they know exactly how to handle the clients and how to put out the fires. So little by little, I was getting a lot taking off my shoulders so I can concentrate on building the business, not being in it, but building the business from the outside, not being so caught up in the weeds.
Gotcha. Awesome. One of the things we always struggled with was reporting and monitoring for our clients. And it was a really manual process. And if you want to know how to automate this, you should definitely check out this really cool, amazing technology that I started using called Kipfolio, where it really lets you automate that entire process. And it delivers a really interactive performance dashboards in real time, or it can actually submit PDF dashboard reports at the push of a button. You'll save time, deliver a better client experience. In fact, you'll probably use it for your own reporting internal. So definitely go to kipfolio.com/smartagency now, and you can try it out for free. And when did you start? How did you guys go about doing it? Did you guys document kind of the process that your partner and yourself kind of developed over time, and created that methodology for someone to follow?
Yeah, so we actually created a handbook that we still hand out today for potential employees that come in, so they know exactly what they're getting into. And the handbook is, it's a masterpiece, I have to say. But it's something that we take very, we take it to heart. We built it knowing that, if we're going to find the right people, this handbook is actually going to help us. So in there's lines like, we don't bullshit each other. We don't tell each other that an idea is bad until, we listen to everybody's ideas. We come up with solutions as a team. So there's a lot of culture building within that handbook. And if, some people read it and they're like, hey, I don't think this is right for me, then that's fine. I'd rather find out before I hire you than 3 weeks or 4 months in, now we're in a situation where it's not working out and it's in the middle of a project.
I love it. So you give the handbook to the potential employee before they're an employee, and it really walks them through kind of what you guys are about, who you are, what drives you guys, your core values, all that. Is that right?
Exactly. And there's even a diagram in the back that, how a project life cycle happens. And if there's, situations, there's a little arrow that goes, go see Danny and Jeremy in his office, which means basically you're going to be fired. So there's a whole bunch of different diagrams of how a project can flow. And that's one of the outcomes, of course, that rarely happens, but it does happen. Most of them are, client is happy, see, triangle 1, and then you go up to triangle 1 and the project starts over again.
I love it. Yeah. I love that because so many people, especially owners or CEOs of an agency, they don't communicate the vision well, right? They may just communicate it one time, but they don't communicate it over and over again. And I truly feel that you have to do that, especially with new employees, but throughout the organization, because what I've found is if you don't communicate the vision or how you're going to measure them or why you guys do what you do, they're going to make decisions on what's best for them versus what's best for the agency. And it's so important to do that. So, I think that's probably one of your secrets that has really helped you kind of catapult, to becoming the agency that you are. So great job, man. When did you guys actually start putting this book together?
Well, I guess it started as a collection of thoughts when we, built the company. Perception is such a powerful word that everybody uses it in the perception of things or your perception of what you're looking at. So, there was always this sense of like, oh, it's perception. It's the five senses, see, touch, taste. So it was like, went with the business so well because, you're watching a commercial, you're hearing great audio, or you're seeing a film and you're listening to the surround sound. So we just started collecting notes and just a bunch of data that later on we were just like, we got to make a handbook. We got a bunch of people working for us. And instead of explaining it every single time, let's just do something that's a little bit more automatic. And that's when we really put it together. I'd say probably our maybe fourth or fifth year. We've been in business this November will be 15. So, and we're constantly updating. I mean, it's a constant learning. I don't know anything by all means. And Jeremy and myself are constantly learning today. And, repetition is key. We'll go over things with new producers and then we'll onboard them with what we call the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's basically a presentation or a seminar that we do with them. And they sit with us in our conference room. We say, okay, let's talk about good clients. The good clients are easy because if they're always happy, they're easy to produce. Let's talk about the bad clients, and we'll take them through past project that we learned certain things and, show them what we learned coming out of those projects and the problems we had. And then we talk about the ugly, which are the ones that are just, we didn't learn anything and this client never came back to us. And this was the worst project and it was our fault because of this, this, and this, or the client was just so unbelievably terrible that we couldn't do anything to make them happy. And that's at a point when we decide, hey, you know what? We'll give you your money back. We're walking away because you're out of your mind.
Yeah. I've gone through a couple of those and they get even madder after you give them the money back too. It's crazy.
It gets pretty insane.
Well, I love the handbook. How come you don't put the handbook online?
Probably because it's more about the culture and everything that is, it's more of like, family values of perception. We like to keep it as more, whoever's going to join the family, they get to see it. There's definitely some things that we talk about on the Perception channel and some, blogs, things like that, like, hiring the right people. There's some secrets that we put out there, but we don't put the whole handbook out because that to us is, it's kind of like a sacred thing that we keep for family members that are going to join.
Gotcha. Very cool. Awesome. And I like that you kind of document your onboarding process as well. Can you talk a little bit about your onboarding process for new hires?
Sure. So, well, it depends on who we hire. So if we hire creative, we'll talk to them about the passion, the quality control that we have, expectations of the role, responsibilities, accountability. That's key because we are such a small agency. I don't want to hear that there's miscommunication when, there's 15 of us. I could see miscommunication in an agency of 100, maybe 50. But with 15 people around and you can't walk down the hallway and tell somebody something, that's like absurd to me. So, as far as a creative, there's that. For producers, it's more about obviously managing the team, managing the client, managing up to us, finding resources, negotiating. So those are a bunch of different onboarding meetings or sessions that we have with producers. Then there's, a managing director that's more about higher level management, running day-to-day operations. Jeremy and I travel quite a bit, so someone needs to be here to put out all the fires. If a client can't contact me, they contact our managing director. And then there's our executive creative director, who, by the way, has been with us for 10 out of the 15 years. And, with him, there's obviously, he's been with us so long that we'll bring him in if there's a creative or a junior designer or VFX person that we're bringing in. And he does a lot of that onboarding as well because, he's managing that creative team now. So it just depends on who needs to be onboarded and, who's going to do the session.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, man. I truly appreciate it, Danny, for you going over everything with us. How can people reach you if they have questions?
Sure. So they can ask any questions at ask@experienceperception.com. My email address is dannyg@experienceperception.com. And check out the website, experienceperception.com. And they could call and ask any questions. I'm always open to giving advice. I'm always open to learning. And I appreciate you taking the time and letting me be on the show.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks, man.